Now, I'm going to talk for the first maybe 12 minutes or so about the company and, what we do here at Foreclosures Daily, because a lot of people on this call don't even actually know all about what we do. So I'm going to go over some of the leads and stuff that we do have. Who we are, we're a nationwide lead provider. We provide leads to investors, realtors, attorneys, and just your basic first-time home buyer. We've been in business since 2004. And since then, we've been the internet's #1 destination for the most detailed information out there. Most of our information comes with property appraisers attached and stuff like that. A lot of companies are very different, and I'll explain that in just a few moments. I'm Tangie Cousins. A lot of you already know me, but for those who don't, I've actually been with Foreclosures Daily and had the pleasure of being with the company for almost 20 years now. We actually opened in 2004. I have helped many investors, realtors, and attorneys grow their business, and I teach people how to use different marketing techniques and how to get people to open your mail and the do's and don'ts of marketing. So, every now and again, maybe once every 6 months, I'll do a webinar as well. And sometimes you'll see me on podcasts and so on and so forth out there. And my email's here for your screenshot. If you want to go ahead and take a picture of that, it's Tangie@ForeclosuresDaily.com. So we wait just a few more moments. We got a bunch of people coming on. I don't want anybody to miss any great material. So just for the people who are jumping on, we have Q&A toolbar. You can just put your mouse over your Zoom toolbar and there's Q&A. Please send questions in when you think about them. We're going to be opening it up to Q&A in the end, and we don't want anybody to miss out on any questions that they may have. So you don't have to try to remember them or write them down. Just quickly type in the Q&A box any questions you may have during the whole presentation. We're going to be opening it up in the very end for Q&A. So we here at Foreclosures and Probates Daily are way different than any other company out there. Other companies out there are quarterly, not farming for real estate. And the last thing you want to do is market to 300 probate leads when only 15 had property. All of our leads will come with real estate attached, period. We don't give you a lead unless there's property. All of our leads are delivered either daily, weekly, or monthly, and most of the time it's going to be weekly. Property appraisers information is going to be on most of the data types that we do offer here. Most companies that we have found, again, are quarterly, and they're not farming for real estate. Just so you know what that means. If you get a list of 300 people who filed probate or 300 people who may have filed for divorce, maybe only a small percentage of those people are going to own real estate. You do not want to market to 300 people if you only needed to market to 15. So we understand the importance of having fresh data that's farmed for real estate. Think about it. 285 extra pieces of mail you didn't need to send. 285 extra skip tracing fees you didn't need to pay. So that's how we are different. There's no comparison. We literally have no competitors in this industry, guys, because of these things that I just mentioned. So some of the leads that we offer you here at Foreclosures Daily are things like probates, pre-probates, inheritance, divorce, code violation, eviction. Those are some of the hottest leads we have here at Foreclosures Daily. Let's talk about those for a few moments, okay? Probates and pre-probates by far are honestly some of the hottest and best leads out there nationwide. Now, they have the most equity. They typically don't mind taking a discount, and they're very, very motivated to sell their property. People tend to be like 50 and 60 when they lose their parents. So they usually don't want the property. They usually want to sell the property. Now, because they didn't buy the property, guys, they got no skin in the game. So they typically don't mind taking a really big discount for the property either. And almost always they'll have their own property at that age and they're established in their own life. So they usually don't want mom and dad's house. So you're dealing with a pretty motivated seller who didn't buy the property to begin with, who don't mind taking wholesale prices. So you can get these properties for deeply discounted rates. And a lot of times they're not listed. And they're going through the process literally. And a lot of people have such a misconception of probate. They think that, just because they file probate, you have to wait all this time for them to go through the whole process. And in most states, you can buy the probates almost right away. And I don't know if you know that or not. A lot of times the homeowners don't even know that, but you can actually buy the property almost right away in most states. So those are some of the differences in our list versus other lists out there. Now, when you work these types of leads, guys, you're going to get a small group of people. You may only get like 20, 25 leads a week, but when you work these types of leads, you're going to get a small group of people, but you're working a niche group list of people who typically want to sell their property and targeting them and versus people who don't. So you don't have to you don't have to market to thousands of people out there and just look for that needle in the haystack. People are getting 3, 5, 10, and 15% response rates with marketing from our leads. And we give you the marketing, guys. You don't even have to reinvent the wheel. Anybody who buys Foreclosures Daily gets access to all the marketing. You get access to the postcards, the letters, the 6-step mailing campaign, all kinds of different bonuses. But these postcards are amazing, guys. Picture the house being on there. You send a letter, postcard, whatever it is you want to send. If you put a picture of their own property on the postcard, be like, hey, is this your house? Are you selling this? It's a real catchy postcard. People typically want to respond like, hey, oh yeah, you know, this is my house. I actually just got this and I am actually going to be selling this. You know, we just started the probate. So, I mean, people are pretty receptive to this type of marketing. We got this company to do these marketing postcards for you for only 38 to 42 cents with postage. So it's really, really cheap. A lot of companies out there will charge like $1 to send postcards like this. And we got this company to do it for deeply discounted rates. And they have a print genie set up to where you can actually set it and forget it if you want to pay that monthly fee instead. And it doesn't matter whether you mail 1 or 10 on that print genie. It's pretty awesome, guys. You got to check that out. So here's some of the letters that we do offer. One of the letters that they offer is a handwritten letter. It's like they use some sort of a font to make it look hand wrote. I'm not sure if it's a pen or a font, but they make it look like you actually hand wrote the letter, and they only charge 64 cents with postage to send that actual letter. So that's a great letter to send. It's more personable, you know, and when you watch my webinars, I get deep into the letters and talking about how to get people to open your mail and certain things you can do on your envelopes to be different than anybody else out there. So, and here's some of the bonuses that we do give you besides the postcards and the letters. We also give you like a 6-touch campaign where it teaches you how often to mail, the spacing in between, like how many times to mail. We also give you a book that was written by Kevin Sayles, Sayles, and I spell that because I want to make sure that you understand how to spell it, because you can actually look it up on Kindle. But we give a book to you called Probate Real Estate Sales 101, and every single person who buys a subscription with Foreclosures Daily, no matter what the lead source is, we send you that book. It's a quick weekend read. It's very easy to read, understand. It's like really thin, so you can read it in like a weekend or just a few hours. And there's so much stuff packed into that book too. We also give you a special link for the reduced mail rates, a special link for reduced skip tracing rates, all kinds of different stuff, guys. You get my phone scripts, all kinds of goodies. So we're going to talk about the pricing and stuff in the end, but you are going to get buy one. I think it's I'm not sure what the owner's offering. Actually, we'll find out in the end. He's giving away something in the end. And also, Christy's actually giving away something too. Christy's going to be giving away some good stuff. We're going to go ahead and introduce her in just a moment. I'm going to stop sharing my screen because she's going to share hers in just a brief moment. While she's sharing her screen, guys, I want to talk to you about a couple of things. Christy Duckett has been in the real estate industry since 2007. That's almost 14 years she's been doing this, guys. And since then, she's fixed, she's flipped, she's Airbnb, she's arbitrage. She does lease option to buy. She's a mom with 2 children, guys. She's married. She's juggling the home life, work life, and this is what she does for her full-time business now. So my hat's off to her. She's a absolute rock star. She's gonna show her screen here. She's gonna talk for probably 45 minutes to an hour, and then she's gonna open it up to Q&A for you guys. She's got some really good stuff, and she's doing a giveaway for anybody who stays until the end of the webinar. And we're also doing a giveaway for anybody who stays at the end as well. So Christy, I hope you can take it away. Thanks for meeting us on here tonight and being here with us. I hope you've got your microphone unmuted and ready to roll and take it over from here.
I do. Can you hear me okay, Tangi?
I can hear you fantastic. We really appreciate you. I know we waited for like a year to have you on here. And we're also scheduled out till next October, guys, for our webinars. So, I mean, you know, we would have the spot saved for Christy for a long time. And we have a lot of people on here tonight ready to rock and roll.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here. It is an awesome time in real estate for those of you that do not know. Some of you might be starting, some of you might have been in real estate. And that's why I thought it was such a good time to come on here, Tangi, and talk about just you guys and what I've utilized your services for in my business. Because it really has helped us find a lot of deals. Probate, as you mentioned on one of your lists, was one of our hot topics we used and got some good leads off of. So tonight, my goal
is using our probate leads. Otherwise, I wouldn't have had any idea who you were.
Right. Which was super cool, guys, because there's so many ways to market out there. And we're so inundated by so much. And I always go back to direct mail works, right? That's the question because, and I even saw this question pop up when you were talking, Tangi, and I'll kind of address it. Someone said, well, if I'm buying a list, can't someone else buy a list? And, you know, aren't we all buying the same list, guys? That doesn't matter. That's like the MLS, right? We're all hitting the MLS. It's what are you doing differently? And what Tangi spoke about is having these letters and postcards that look different, that speak to people differently. And tonight I want to go over some of our marketing things that we've done to really kind of brand and have people in the community know us. So even though, yes, we might have some of the same leads or come across, why are we getting the deals that other people aren't? And I think that's the really important piece to touch on this evening.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and mute myself and pause my video, and I'll see you in an hour or so. Christy, let me know when you're ready, and I'll pop back in at 7:10 or so.
Awesome. Thanks, Tangi. All right, guys. Well, welcome. Tangi gave me a great introduction. I'm just going to touch on a couple of things. My name is Christy Duckett Harris. I have been doing real estate since 2007. When Tangi said that, it made me in my mind go, oh my gosh, I'm so old now, right? My husband and I have a 5 and 7-year-old together, 2 boys. If you follow me on social media, you probably see pictures of our crazy life with them, which is also the reason I wanted to touch on tonight, how to get maximum results with minimal time and limited resources. We live in such a time now, and I don't know, I tell people this all the time, if the pandemic has not showed you what is important and how you should maximize and utilize your time, I don't know what else is going to do it. So within this time period, you know, I've always tried to be a time ninja. I'm very type A, like a lot of people are, I like everything in control, but I've also learned that a lot of that type A feeling came from being disorganized. And I learned that I really needed to organize my time better, but also my business. My husband and I, Noah, do the business full time. We're actually reside in Columbia, South Carolina. And we do everything. As she said, we own multiple passive income properties. Our sweet spot right now is we're loving short-term rentals. We're doing a lot of travel nurses, Airbnbs. We still have long-term rental properties as well. I own a property management company. So when you think about like what we're doing, we do a little bit of everything. So some of you might have experience in all of that. Don't think you have to do all of this. This is what's really cool. I would say over the course of the last 2 years, and I think the pandemic and just my children getting older really pushed the priorities in my life. And my priority is really spending time with my family. It's interesting because I was just home with my parents and they live in Virginia on a farm. And I realized how much time they spend on technician type things we talk about, you know, doing everything themselves, you know, not really being able to have the time to spend like they want to. And I realized, gosh, this is the life I don't want. And I think more and more people with this pandemic are realizing this. I also realized it because I've coached thousands of students. Some of you on here might be people that I've coached along the way, which is really awesome. I love you guys. I found that people, it's easy to digest the information, get the information, and it comes to a scary part where you have to apply it and do it. And I feel that's where the disconnect happens. Every year we set, and this is the great time, right? It's January. How many of you January 1st woke up and were supposed to go to the gym and didn't go? I have to raise my hand. I was one of those, right? Like it happens. So not just, you know, setting resolutions and goals, it's really getting results. So instead of setting the resolution and never doing anything to follow through, how do we set the action item to get the result that we want? And that's what I really want to touch on. So a lot of that is time management, really mapping out your calendar, but knowing what you need to do in your life and your business, I think is so important. I think people struggle with that. I think people always struggle with that. So really my goal is to kind of help you leave here this evening going, hey, there's, you know, 35 ways I can market, but what are my most beneficial? And a lot of that does start with the direct mail. And I think it's really important to buy a list that works, but maximize that list. Don't jump around and be all over the place. So I want to show you how we started with 2 primary counties in our area in Columbia, South Carolina. And within those 2 counties, we soon were able to narrow down zip codes and neighborhoods, okay? So Foreclosures Daily gave me the list. I literally called Tangi and said, hey, listen, I want to focus on probates, and I want to focus on probates in these counties, Richland and Lexington. She was able to give me X amount of leads for so many months, and then I was able to take those leads and farm different neighborhoods and zip codes. Now, when you're starting out in the business, it's really, really easy to be all over the place and accomplish minimal. And I found myself doing that in the very beginning. You know, I get a lead call way across town. I get one over here. And that's okay at first because you're learning your market. And I think it's good to market because you want to understand your neighborhoods and your territory, but you soon have to find a way to really take all that information and start learning your market. And I think it's more important now than ever because what everyone I know is finding, and if I were to ask you, how is the market right now? It's amazing in the sense there's so many buyers out there. That's awesome. What's also not awesome is you have all of these buyers, right? Because we're all competing over the same property. So how am I going to get to the properties no one else is? And how can I maximize that? Which I think is the most important thing in a time like this. So I call this the magic number. Okay. So we call it the 3 kind of magic number frame. And I aim for sellers to hear or see about my services and who I am a minimum of 3 different ways. Okay. And sellers can be anyone, guys. These aren't just people we've never met necessarily. These could be friends, right? These could be people that know us at the gym. These could be people that go to school with my kids that need to sell, right? Everyone pretty much, if they don't own a home, Tangi touched on it, their parents probably own a home or a relative that they know. And wouldn't you say if you looked at just, let's just take an inner surface level look at your neighborhood you live in currently. If you thought about everybody that lived in your neighborhood and everyone that lived on your street, would you say that somebody in that neighborhood is probably getting a divorce? Somebody has probably passed away. Somebody could have had a baby, right? All of these things are happening within my immediate neighborhood. I actually live in a neighborhood with about 350 units within here, and things are happening all over the place. We have tired landlords, I'm sure. We have vacant units. We have foreclosure. We have people that have gotten laid off. So when we think about those things, how do we let those people know who we are and know that we're out here? Okay. And I think it could be a way of marketing, which we're going to talk about. It could be branding yourself on social media. It could be, my husband and I laugh. We pick our kids up from school every day, right? We drop them off in the morning. We pick them up. We sit in that same line. For those of you that pick your kids up, we literally sit there for 45 minutes every day. And on the side of the school, there's banners of different people in the community that own different businesses. Now, some of these people I've never met in my entire life, but you know what's ironic? Today, something popped up on my Facebook and I'm like, I know this guy. Why do I recognize him? And I'm like, oh, he's on the banner that we pass every day and we sit in line for 45 minutes. So he's doing a great job of sellers seeing him and knowing who he is. Even though I don't personally know him, I feel like I do because I see his face every single day. So when we look at that, we want to also create credibility, right? Like it's not only do these people know who we are, but why do they want to do business with us? Social media does play a big part in that. Pre-pandemic or after, right? It's so easy to jump online and see a face and recognize someone. And we get into like the different phases. So once we do the 3 types of like branding, this is going to get into the different phases of kind of how we do that. So when we talk about buying a list, that would be like picking a county. Again, mine, Lexington and Richland County, narrowing down to an actual zip code. Okay. Once I get that list, I might mail those 20 probate leads because that's on average in my county. I was getting, like Tangi said, smaller 20 to 25 pre-probate leads. Actually, I was doing pre-probate when people passed away. And then I started to look at the zip codes in the neighborhoods. Now, as I was doing that, I was seeing a very interesting trend. And she talked about this on the intro. I was seeing that there were a lot of the same houses in the same neighborhoods. Why do you think that is? Well, that's because a lot of these people were baby boomers, unfortunately passing away, and their properties were being left to a lot of times their children who either lived out of the area or in the area, wanted to get rid of the property, didn't want to deal with the headache. So I was able to really narrow down that neighborhood going, hey, this neighborhood was built in the 1970s. This neighborhood was built in the 1960s. This one was built in the 80s. Okay, what type of people are living there? So that big immediate mailer list helped me identify the county and then start to recognize those different zip codes that I was seeing. So it helped me go from a really big level to a small level, because then what I did was took those zip codes and I really narrowed down the neighborhoods. Now, the reason I wanted to narrow down neighborhoods was for a lot of different reasons. One, as soon as a house came on the market, and I'm going to talk about different ways leads can come in, I didn't really care where the lead came from and what market it came within. But I just wanted to know, hey, this neighborhood, for instance, there's one that's a very high baby boomer neighborhood that we invest in. It's called Whitehall. I knew immediately when something came up in Whitehall, almost the exact square footage, the exact bedrooms, bathrooms, because this neighborhood, all the houses were built at the same time. So I could then identify the price per square foot of that neighborhood and know exactly what I could offer. So it helped me make really quick decisions. Now, pre-pandemic, things weren't moving as quickly here in our market. Our market, I've lived here since 2007, was a very slower paced market. So what we're seeing now, I had never seen before. So I actually had time to kind of pull the neighborhood, identify and look. Now, if you are waiting more than 20 minutes to get on Zillow, realtor.com, anything, you're waiting too long. You need to be able to make quick decisions on these properties. So literally knowing those neighborhoods helped me identify pockets that I knew I wanted to stay in. So then I started picking neighborhoods. So I would go through, hey, listen, this is a bread and butter neighborhood. This is a high rental area. I told you I own a lot of short-term rentals. We also own a lot of passive income, long-term rentals. I started identifying those neighborhoods. Oh, this is a great rental neighborhood. So just from that original direct mail list of the counties, it helped me start narrowing down different things. And then I was able to also go back and go, now maybe I want to look into vacant properties. Maybe I want to do foreclosures, right? There's all types of properties out there. Again, you don't want to be all over the place. So I recommend kind of honing in on just a few ways of marketing. And I'm actually, my freebie giveaway is going to be a marketing calendar. So pick your neighborhood, start with a blanket direct mail campaign. And when we talk about a blanket, it's really more so buy a list, whichever one you want to do. And I like to use a letter that really kind of speaks to everyone as a whole. So even if maybe you've lost a relative, maybe you're a tired landlord, I like to create some urgency within my letters that say, basically, we're buying in this neighborhood, we're buying in this area, we want to close on X amount of deals in the next month. So that could be how many ever we're looking for, 1 or 2 deals in the next month. Call now, cash offer, right? We're going to use those special words that really speak to people, close quick, to get them to pick up the phone and call us. And we're really getting that blanket direct mail to kind of put the word out to everyone. So what starts to happen when people see that? People start to really identify, who is this company, right? Who are Christy and Noah? Who is Revive Homes? What are they doing? Then I want to go in and get nosy. I call it get nosy with the tax records. So what I like to do within that neighborhood, I like to map out all the streets within that neighborhood, and I go in and look at the tax records. Okay. I like to look and see who owns in that, who's an absentee owner, right? Like what's going on in that neighborhood? Who's buying there? Are there a lot of LLCs on the tax record? Is it big investment companies buying? 1, those are cash buyers, right? Those are deals that can wholesale. 2, is it a lot of individuals that have lived there for 30 and 40 years? Well, what do I know about that? They're probably getting older. Maybe there's a need to sell. Is there anything in an estate or a trust, right? Those keywords come in and tell me that someone's passed away. So getting nosy with the tax records really gives me a good indicator of the whole area. Then big time. So we're hearing now, and I do believe you can sit behind your computer all day and you can market and you can do Facebook ads and you can do skip trace. And guess what? We do that as well. You can do all of that. But the reality is you have to know your market. You've got to get out and drive. So we go back to the old school drive for dollars. Now, I'm not saying you have to go out every day of your life and drive around and you have to spend hours a day doing this, but I want you to drive those areas because you might get a probate lead call from a neighborhood and then you go check out the neighborhood and you go, ugh, I don't really love this neighborhood. It doesn't look like something I necessarily want to flip in. Maybe I want to get rid of this, or maybe it's a high rental area, which I think is really important. You also want to drive and look for indicators. And guys, a lot of this is nothing new that you haven't heard before, but to my point, it's something that you need to be doing all the time. And I want you to remember, keep it simple sometimes. We try to make everything we're so inundated by so much all the time. That's the truth. Today it's one thing, tomorrow it's the next, and we forget what we were doing. I really like to keep it simple and then add the more complex stuff on, right? For some of us in our minds, we may only need 4 good real estate deals in the next year, right? Some people need 25. It depends on what you're looking to build. Not everyone's looking to build an empire. I try to enforce that. Just get to your first deal or start getting better deals, and being consistent is the key. So drive the neighborhood, look for trash cans, drive on trash day. That's your best day. See what's out on the street. Are there old couches in front of a house? Is there an old mattress in front of the house? Is that trash can not been pulled? If you look at the house, is there a paper in the window that indicates something's going on with the property? Maybe it's a foreclosure, right? Like, you have to be visual about your neighborhood because you really want to know that place in depth. Do you see, which we're seeing a lot of right now, a U-Haul truck? Do you see a moving pod? If you see a moving pod in the driveway, that means somebody's either moving out or moving in. So these are real key indicators. We've started to, and I'm guilty of it, do what on the phone all the time. Everywhere I'm at, I'm in the grocery store, looking down. It's such a bad thing because guess what? We lose sight of everything that's in front of us. And a lot of this are really good real estate deals or people that can bring us deals. So I want you to keep that in your mind. We're still out in, society. Be mindful of who you're around and who you're talking to. A lot of our deals now come from referral, and that's just from letting people know what we do and people knowing us. Phase 2, get the word out, I call it. Let everyone know what you do. So my husband laughs at me because I go to spin class at the Y, and I go to the 9 a.m. spin class. So everyone in the 9 a.m. spin class is either self-employed, stay-at-home parent, or retired. That's it, because everybody else that works a job is at their job or in front of their computer. So my husband's on the phone one day, and I walk out of spin class and I'm talking to someone in there, and he's on the phone with someone, and he says, they go, "Oh, what's Christy doing?" I hear her talking. "Oh, she's networking the spin class," right? Which is hilarious because I do this for multiple different reasons. One, people need to know that I'm in their community buying and selling homes. I see them 3 times a week, right? This is really important. Those could be private money lenders. Those could be sellers. So if I'm sitting there not saying anything to anyone, how will anyone know that I can help them or that I'm a person that's there for them? And it's super simple, guys. I'm sitting there 3 times a week. That's 1 hour I'm working out and 1 hour I have to market, right? About who I am. So utilize the time that you have. Don't make real estate feel like it's this big business, because a lot of people aren't doing this full time. They're looking to implement with what they're doing now and get out of their full-time job. How are you going to do that if you don't have time to do this and you make it some big extra thing? Anything that seems like it's extra, it seems like it's a lot, you're not going to do. I know that. Ask me how I know. Whenever I add something more on my plate, it becomes more and more difficult to get done. So you want to become known as a buyer to the community. So that neighborhood that you're in already, remember, you've direct mailed it once, you've driven for dollars, you've looked around the neighborhood, you've kind of scaled it out, you've pulled the tax records. Now we're going to go in and we're going to implement 2 more direct marketing strategies. Okay. So we're going to ID again, this target property. So we might've been driving through and we were going, why? And I literally just did this morning. I was down at one of our short-term rentals. I was like, why is there a mattress on the side of the street and a couch? Could they have gotten new furniture at Christmas? And then I looked a little harder and I'm like, yeah, no, they definitely are evicting someone or they're cleaning out a house. So I'm guessing they either getting rid of a tenant or they're going to be renovating the property. Maybe it's already bought. Maybe it's not. I don't know. But guess what? I can send a letter, can I? Absolutely. So I'm going to implement that direct mail to go do a second round to be more focused. I could even say, hey guys, I saw a couch sitting on the street the other day. What's going on with your property? Now, if you want to, like Tangi talked about, there's big companies that can mail these letters out for you that are pre-done and script written. If you're on a budget, because remember the topic tonight is time and money. If you've bought your list of direct mail, you can also write it out, right? You can go old school. It doesn't matter. Just get it done. That's the big thing. Just do it. So once we do that mailing, you now are going to go, okay, I really love this. And I'm going to give you an example. So I have an area called Arsenal Hill. It's right where the governor's mansion is. It's right off of downtown. We've done several deals there. We know that area very, very well. It's an actual area, neighborhood, zip code in our county. So next, I'm going to look at every agent that has sold a property, has a pending property, or currently has something listed in that neighborhood, and or in the past previously had sold something. Why do you think that's important? Well, guys, it's important because if there's an agent, typically agents target the same neighborhoods, right? So if I see the same agent popping up selling half of the neighborhood, that's someone I need to connect to. That agent might have pocket listings, right? The MLS is competitive right now. We've got to get to those agents before anybody else does. And we've got to get to those MLS leads before they hit, or at least create some type of relationship. We have to bridge a gap, because if we're not, we're missing out on deals on the MLS. So I'm going to look for properties also that are for rent. Okay. So anything that's for rent on that street or listed through a property management company, I'm going to call that property management company. I'm going to find out why they're renting. You know, do they need to sell? Are they looking for the cash flow? Did they inherit the property? What's going on? Even if they don't want to sell right now, I want them to know I'm there if they ever want to sell. That's what's important, because you'll see a couple slides ahead, I'm going to show you a property lead that was 2 years in the making. So sometimes these don't come immediate, guys, right? We can send out tons of letters. Maybe we don't get something, but 6 months down the line, we do. So it's important to keep kind of pressing and doing. Within this, I want you to get MLS notifications set up. So when something does come on the market in that neighborhood, so ours is Arsenal Hill, 29201 zip code, right, in Richland County, we targeted that. I want to make sure that every MLS listing comes up and tells me what's going on. Was there a price drop? Did the listing go expired? What's going on? That's really, really important, because a lot of our leads come in many different directions. I don't want to constantly have to work for those leads, right? So if I have this set up, it's going to notify me. Get Zillow and for sale by owner and rent notifications, and Facebook Marketplace is another great place. I want you to set yourself up on parameters. If a for sale by owner comes up on Zillow, which some people right now, a lot of people are listing and selling their own property, right? I don't need an agent. The market's hot. I'm just going to try to sell it myself. When that comes on, you want to be the first person to find out and know. So again, set yourself up. And these are things you can set up, which is kind of cool. Set it and forget it, right? So for those of you that are going, Christy, I don't have time to call an agent. Christy, I don't have time to do direct mail. I don't have. Guess what? There's people, there's virtual assistants you can get, local interns. I run ads all the time for local interns. I have one starting with us. She's young. She's a hustler. She wants to learn the business. So I'm going to barter my knowledge for her time. She's going to put out signs for me. She's going to do a lot of internet marketing for me for free, because I'm going to teach her the business. So don't think you have to spend all your time doing this. I don't want you to create this extra job for yourself, but I want you to know what you need to do if you want to set this up for someone else to do. First, you need to start yourself, learn how to do it, and then outsource it out how you want to. So Zillow for sale by owners, Facebook Marketplace is a great place to look as well. Outdoor signage, Bandit signs. I hear this all the time. Bandit signs don't work. They don't work. You know what doesn't work? This is the truth. I have lots of rental properties. What doesn't work is getting a call from somebody that I have no clue who it is, 25 times a day and 25 text messages all the time without any branding of me knowing exactly who they are in my community. I feel like, and I'm someone in the business. So imagine how a seller feels when they're constantly getting inundated by stuff, when if maybe they just happen to see a sign that said, we'll buy your house, maybe they would call that. Maybe that would get a different response. Not saying call dialers don't work. I'm not saying, yes, all that stuff does work, guys. Everything works differently with someone. So remember that. You've got to do all of these things, because you never know what it's going to take to get someone to call you. It's kind of like dating, right? And finding your spouse. You never know what it's going to take to get that person. So you have to keep finding and searching and farming. That's the truth. So same thing with this. Bandit signs, continue putting them up, guys, right? If it's legal in your area, put them out. We're getting ready to do a batch of 25 because it works. Introduce yourself on neighborhood social media pages. This is big. So have you guys seen the Nextdoor app or some of those within your community? A lot of times I laugh, I call it like the complaint site, because sometimes you see things popping up of people just complaining about everything, but they're also like very valuable because we have an internal one within our subdivision that isn't a big next door app. It's just within, and you can buy, sell different things. We have one agent in our community. She's a beast. She has monopolized our whole community. Everybody buys and sells with her. And I love that because guess what? We've made friends with her because we want leads, like help us, right? Help us help you. We send her business. So introducing yourself on those social media platforms, and don't, introduce yourself nicely, tread lightly, right? Make sure you're allowed to do it. Make sure you do it the proper way. It could be a funny introduction. I like to use our kids a lot because that kind of breaks the ice. My husband was actually saying this morning on Facebook, he said, it's so funny. I can post something about business on my Facebook and get like 5 likes. But as soon as I throw something up with the kids on it or about the kids, I get like 200 likes. Why is that? I'm like, because listen, people don't want to be sold, even though we're being sold every day in life and people know what we do, but people just want to have fun and laugh and enjoy. So if you kind of intertwine all of that, it really makes for, like being lighthearted and people really connecting to you, because we're all in the same boat, whether we have kids, whether we're married, whether we're not, whether we're single, we all like to have fun and just enjoy. And I think when you do that, even in your marketing, it goes a really long way. Phase 3. This is, I think, one of the most important phases. And remember, this is when you've actually closed a deal. So now you've put in the work, you've done some direct mail, you've put out the signs, you've, driven for dollars, you've maybe left door hangers on doors, and now you actually finally have a deal and you've closed it. You're like, this is the golden ticket. This is the moment. Once the property is under contract, immediately, you don't know how many people don't do this. And I can tell you how many people don't do it because I see it in my local market driving around. I'm very aware of all the neighborhoods and areas I invest in. As soon as I can see a rehab going on, it's like, okay, who's doing that rehab, right? I'm looking for a sign, something, nothing. There's a house next door to my 4 unit. They've been renovating forever and a day. No signage up there, like nothing. And I mean, I barely see people working there, which isn't a good thing, but they should at least have something in the ground saying who they are so somebody could call, because the house looks phenomenal. If I was someone selling in the neighborhood, I would personally call them, but I can't because they don't have any signage. So make sure you have a coming soon sign, okay, with a phone number. A text message option is good because not everybody likes to pick up the phone and call. People, are apprehensive about calling people. It's easy to text, right? We know this on social media. It's easy to say what you want. It's harder sometimes to pick up the phone. So I think it's important to have that coming soon sign with a phone number, with a picture of your company, maybe a picture of you, something that's very branding. Also, I failed to mention this, but on our direct mail letters, we also like to put a picture of ourselves in there. That's just me personally. I like to brand so people know who we are, because people are going to see you out in the community. Even if you're in a big community, it's still very small. So coming soon sign, a dumpster banner. This is huge. The dumpster, number one, is an eyesore, right? It sits out there. It's not beautiful. How can you make it look better? Put a We Buy Houses sign. True story. It's a different neighborhood. I'm not going to show my case study on here. But there was a property that we purchased off of the Foreclosures Daily list for pre-probate. And this was kind of a unique property. It was a daughter that inherited the property. I sent the letter to her. It took about 6 months to buy the property, simply for the fact she had a stepbrother who had to go through the probate process as well. What was cool is we made such a good connection with her and impression and helped her. She was like our best friend and we were able to help them. It was such a cool process because in the process of doing that, we actually ended up buying 2 more houses in that neighborhood. We actually ended up doing a vacant mailer property, and we had a neighbor see our property. How did they see our property and know we were there? Because we had that We Buy Houses dumpster sign. If we put that sign on the dumpster, I would tell you that at minimum, and I can almost say this with 100% confidence, minus like maybe one neighborhood, we've gotten a deal in that neighborhood because of that banner or that sign in the yard. So I think it's really important to market. That's like really inexpensive marketing, guys. And what was cool in this same neighborhood that I was talking about, this was about 2 years ago, I think 2.5, I would say. there was a gift card. I did a deal with a business partner. She's an agent actually. She got a letter in the mail with a Chick-fil-A gift card. This is kind of funny. It makes me laugh. She got a Chick-fil-A gift card and the note read, "Thank you so much for renovating that house because you drove the numbers up in our community. I was able to sell my mother's home on her own and move her to Florida." So what was cool about it, it's like most of you are thinking, oh, bummer, you missed out on the property. You could have gotten it. I thought how cool, because that woman was able to help her mother get more money. It worked for her, right? We're not going to get every deal, but what's cool is what does that do for our company? That gives us a great name because now they're like, oh, Revive Homes is a great company that helps people. If I know someone else that's selling or has a parent that needs to downsize, call them. So again, that referral came because our sign was up there and they knew us. Meet and greet the neighbors. Many different reasons for meeting and greeting the neighbors. One, if you're rehabbing the property, you will always want somebody keeping a set of eyes on your property and knowing who you are and calling you if anything is going on with the property. Two, they know everybody in the neighborhood. So indirectly, if you're not talking to them, if you're doing a bad job, if you have people on site that are cursing or using the bathroom in the yard, these things happen while they're renovating the house. This is a reflection on your company. So you really want to make good with the neighbors. I think that's super important. A neighborhood open house just as important. In this Arsenal Hill neighborhood I'm going to show you, we actually had a gentleman that lived in the neighborhood his entire life. And he plays musical instruments. And we did an open house where he came in and he was playing the saxophone in the living room at our open house, which was really cool. And this was a very tight-knit neighborhood. So like those things mean a lot within a neighborhood and give people confidence in selling their home to you. A credibility mailer. I would venture to say a lot of people don't do this. And I think it's one of the most important things, if not the most important. And I've been there. You finish your renovation, you're at the finish line, you sell the house, you get your check, you're like, cha-ching, cool, on to the next property. Who cares about this area? I made my money, I'm out of here. No, what you should be doing is you should be putting together almost like a newsletter and a call to action. You want to put it out there and say, listen, we just renovated this beautiful home. This is what it looked like. This is what it is. This is what we're doing, not only in the community in Columbia, South Carolina, but in your neighborhood and area. We want to help other people like this. So if you know anyone that is downsizing, upsizing, divorcing, whatever the situation, call us, we can help. And I think that's so important because if we're not asking for the business, one would think, oh, hey, they made that ugly vacant home beautiful. I'm going to call them. As soon as you're out of that neighborhood and it's done, people are on to their next thing. They don't remember you. And it's not because they didn't like you, but it's because you're not constantly in front of them. So again, that credibility mailer, I think, is huge. That could also help you raise private money. I get this a lot of times. How can I raise private money? Where can I find money? Listen, that neighborhood's probably full of money. They know what you're doing. Talk to them and make a friend. That's my goal in every neighborhood we're in, or I don't care if I'm at the grocery store. I don't care if I'm getting gas. Make a friend. You never know where that person will come back around. So I want you guys to write this down. This looks so simple, right? And it really is. The key is implementing it. Implementing. Remember, results, not resolutions. We want results. So this is kind of a marketing sheet we organically put together. And I want you guys to write down my website at the bottom, exactly how it is. And this will get emailed to you for free. Now you can make it your own, right? You can print it off. You can put it in an Excel format. You can map it out on the calendar. Some of us are very electronic. I use my Google Calendar for everything. Some of us are not. Some of us like the old school notebook, write down, cool, whatever. I don't care. Use it, because what this does is it helps you really map out, because all of this can be in our head and we can know what we need to do every day. But I promise you, if it's not written down and you're not abiding by that calendar, it will not get done. And this speaks for grocery shopping. This speaks for date night. This speaks for self-care, gym, all of it. You should have everything in your life mapped out to like the hour. And I don't care if it doesn't happen. I try to enforce this with people that I coach. I don't care if it doesn't happen at that hour. know it's on that schedule for that day. So if you have to shift it and move it around, that's fine, but know that's your activity. I work with a fellow investor and she's really great at her social media marketing. I mean, she's a beast. She has her Transformation Tuesday, and that is every Tuesday, a transformation of a project that she has done. Every Tuesday that pops up. I don't even have to think about it. There it is on her feed. And what's so cool about that consistency in her business shows me that she's consistent in all realms of her life. And that matters to people looking to lend you money. That matters to sellers looking to sell you a property. They want you to do what you say, right? They want you to follow through. Now, I want you to go through, and if you haven't, maybe you set your goal for the year, and we're what? I gotta even look. We're already, guys, on January 4th, okay? So we're 4 days into the new year. How many of you have already made your resolutions but not stuck with them? I'm going to raise my hand. I literally have fallen off track at the gym over Christmas. I have 2 gym memberships. I'm not afraid to admit this, to the YMCA spin class and Orange Theory. I have yet to be to either one since literally December 21st, because we went out of town for a week and a half, and I'm just trying to get my schedule and life back together. The kids just went back. So what am I doing? I'm making excuses. Why am I doing that? Because I haven't been mapping that out on my calendar. So I'm guilty as charged. So real estate is no different. If you don't map it out, it's going to get pushed to the sideline. So I want you to really look at the list. I don't care what it is. Start easy. It could be like, I'm afraid of social media and Facebook. I'm not really comfortable doing this. Good. That's the first thing you should do. Set a post. Every Monday, I'm going to post something about real estate. Direct mail. Guess what? Tangi, you're on here. This is easy. You're on the webinar. She said at the end, we have a special. Here's what I can do. Cool. She's right in front of you. You can do that right now. And a lot of these are low-cost strategies. This is what's important. Your direct mail list might be the one you have to pay for, but everything else on here is little to free. Check Facebook Marketplace. That costs nothing but time. If you don't have a website, maybe you make a goal to set up a website. If you don't, who cares for right now? Use your Instagram and Facebook. I don't care what it's social media. There's many free channels as well. MLS Blast. If you have a good agent, let's say you have 5 good agents, but guess what? You haven't talked to them since last year. Cool. This week, I'm going to spend each day, I'm going to email 1 agent. How hard is that to do, guys? That takes a couple minutes. I'm going to look for garage sales that are upcoming. I'm going to look for estate sales that are happening. I'm going to go to that and I'm going to network and I'm going to make a new connection. All this stuff is really simple. When I lay it out like this, it looks so easy, but it only is going to happen. It can't be a resolution. It's got to be a result. You've got to do it. So map it out on your calendar. Here's the thing, 2 to 3, don't go more, because when you go too much, you do nothing. And I find that when you don't accomplish all of those, it has the opposite effect. You start to say, I'm no good. I didn't do all 5 of those. So now I'm going to do none of those. And then guess what happens? It's February 1st and you've done nothing. And I want you to think about setting quarterly goals, right? Just the first quarter, see how it goes. So you can test and measure these things, write one. If you didn't like that, cool, move to the next, right? But this gives you the ability to add on each week and do. And you can make it really easy, because honestly, real estate should seem easy, because if it's easy, you'll do it. If it's not, you won't. That's the truth. Especially if you have another business outside of this. If you have a paycheck coming in weekly, it's really easy to keep saying, I want to do real estate. I want to do real estate. I'm going to push it off. So make it simple. So this is my case study. I want to show you the actual neighborhood. I talked about Arsenal Hill, which is really cool. And I'm going to give you a breakdown of each one. These are several deals which we did in a neighborhood, but then several other deals came from connections we made. So we've direct mailed this neighborhood. We've done Bandit signs. We did a skip trace, and I'm going to show you how each deal kind of panned out and what we're doing. So Columbia, South Carolina, for those of you that haven't been, this is about 3 blocks off of downtown. It's an old historic district for a very long time. It was kind of run down and not that good, but now we see major improvement. So the street you see that says Gadsden Street with the red arrow and the yellow arrow. The red arrows indicate deals that we actually closed on and did. The yellow area is, the yellow arrows are deals that we came across, but we weren't able to facilitate into a deal. But ultimately, from all the marketing we were doing, these all came about, which is cool. To give you a little idea, across from that Gadsden Street, there's a huge piece of green space, which is called Finley Park. It used to be a huge park in the early 2000s that many famous musicians came to do concerts in the early 2000s. Since then, it's kind of gone downhill. So they're investing billions of dollars in the next 2 years into the park. So it's going to be really amazing. So I recommend if you came to Columbia, like I moved here in 2007, it was not a great city. Now 2022, it's amazing. So please come visit our city. It's really awesome. And I even have a place for you to stay. We have some Airbnbs. So reach out to me if you want to come check it out. But the first street was on Wayne Street. Now, what's really cool about this property, the gentleman that lives across the street, I talked to you about, that lived here his whole entire life. His name is Reggie. Reggie literally lived in this house, the 1712 Wayne Street, as a child. His aunt owned it, and then eventually ended up selling it through the years, right? So anyway, this was a probate lead. And we ended up getting this lead and looking at it from a standpoint of a fix and flip. So we actually got this lead. Beautiful home. This is all a historic block. Again, you have to be really careful with historic districts, right? We had to check what could we keep, what could we not do, what could we do. But we ended up fixing and flipping this property and making a good amount of money on it. And it was really cool to see because I'll show you, we actually own an Airbnb on the next street, which is kind of cool. So I actually frequent this neighborhood and still drive through and farm it. So with this deal, to the left of this, there was a lady named Katie. And what was interesting about Katie is Katie moved in this neighborhood. It was like the mid to late 90s when the neighborhood was really bad. And Katie and her husband started buying these properties in the neighborhood. They owned like 4 to 5 homes at one point. They had bought for like $10,000, $15,000, which was crazy, right? Because this house now probably in this market is worth over 400,000. So her and her husband, Cliff, bought all these properties and they sat on them with the intention of flipping them or doing something with them. Some of them weren't even actually fixed up. Some were just sitting vacant. And we started talking to her about buying some of those, like, hey, would you guys be interested in selling? You know, where could we go from there? And Katie was awesome. She actually, what's funny is we ended up flipping our house. She ended up selling her house next door. She had 3 boys. They had kind of outgrown the property and they moved out to the lake. So she ended up selling her house in the meantime. We tried to buy it, but the numbers just didn't work for us. But what was great about Katie is Katie brought us several houses after that, of which one was right next door to that house. So the house on the right of 1712 Wayne Street, it was 1708 Wayne Street. That was actually owned by Katie and Cliff, who lived on the other side. They bought this house, never did anything to it, sat on it forever, continued to pay the taxes. They watched us renovate this house and make it beautiful. And her husband finally decided, I'm never going to fix this house up. Like, I'm not going to do it. I'm tired of working. I just want to sell it. They ended up selling that house to us. We were actually going to keep it. And then the pandemic hit and the permitting offices started shutting down and it was crazy. And we actually ended up wholesaling it. So we got rid of that property for a profit. We helped Katie and Cliff, and we also inherited that property and made a little money on it, which was pretty cool. Now, Katie actually ended up buying a rental property from my business partner who is an agent. So she actually ended up reinvesting her money that she sold these 2 properties from. So that kind of came as extra business. And Katie also sent us a lead on a probate across town. So again, making friends with your neighbors, it pays off. What's cool about that is that wasn't even a property in that neighborhood, but just from small talk and conversation and relationships, she ended up referring something to us. So the next property, this is my forever little retirement home. I love it. This is 1 street back from Wayne Street. This is Gadsden Street. This house literally sat vacant. I recircled this house. It's kind of interesting. When that area was a bad area, this was in 2013. I had just gotten married. Right before I got married, I drove by this house. It was vacant, boarded up. And I said, ugh, I'm not going to buy in this neighborhood. Literally bypassed this house in 2013. We started flipping the house on Wayne Street. I drove around the neighborhood back to this house, still boarded up. What the heck is going on? It had actually changed ownership. I pulled the tax record. I skip traced the owner, called him, got his dad. And I said, honey, that's not my house. That's my son's. Let me give you his number. Ended up calling the son. The son had just bought a brewery downtown, was very motivated, had bought this house for his daughter who was supposed to go to the University of South Carolina. She actually ended up betraying him and going to Clemson. So he let the property sit vacant. And we made him an offer and we renovated the house. We kept the house and we now cash flow that house from $2,000 to $2,500 a month on short-term rental Airbnb, which is awesome. That's been one of our great little investments. Bought it for very minimal, got the house down. It's an old little house. So as I looked at that street, because I remember I'm farming that street, I noticed next door, there are 3 units, literally my house is to the left of this, 3 units to the right. I pulled the tax records, found out there were 2 gentlemen that own these, business partners. Actually, I skip traced them and direct mailed them. They were in their 70s. They bought these 3 properties when the neighborhood was horrible back in the late 80s for like $35,000. And I approached them about buying years ago when I bought my house. So I think this was like 2016. They would not sell. Last year, for some reason, I should have probably had a better follow-up system on this property because it's right next door. Hello, but I didn't. But I happened to pull the tax record again and saw that one of the partners had actually passed away. So I thought there's probably some motivation there. Recalled the gentleman, and I knew the girl that rented the house at 1625. Her name was Cecilia. She gave me his number. I called him. We negotiated. He wanted too much. Somebody else ended up buying it and renting it. It's okay. Maybe the deal that got away, maybe I'll rebuy it again in 5 years. Who knows, right? But it was cool to see building that relationship and follow up on direct mail and skip tracing could have brought me that house. So again, farm the neighborhood, talk to the neighbors. Next, right up the street on Gadsden Street. This property, 2 gentlemen married, bought their forever home with the intention of fixing it up right before the pandemic hit. And they decided they bit off more than they could chew, needed too much work. This is a really old historic district. Everything needs a lot of work. They decided to sell it. I was driving by the house, saw a for sale by owner sign, was like, oh my gosh, this is it. I have to call. Called them, talked to them, met with them. Brian and his husband, David, went back and forth. They were willing to owner finance, guys. They would have done anything. They loved us. We loved them. They were great. Literally, Noah and I made a couple offers. We were going back and forth. We were almost ready to sign the paperwork and the pandemic hit. And the same time as the house on Wayne Street, right behind it, I said, something, I always go with my gut with everything in life. And I said, I don't know, something's just telling me maybe now's not the time to renovate this house. I think permitting is going to be a hassle. Let's just see. And it really would have been. So funny enough, I had not talked to those guys since, what was that? 2000 to 2020, January, February, maybe a little bit after that. I was driving by the house the other day. I noticed that it had been renovated. I thought, oh my gosh, did they buy it and end up moving in it? Mind you, haven't talked to them at all. Still have Brian's email Brian, say, hey, Brian, just thinking about you guys, drove by Gadsden Street. What happened with the house? And how are you guys doing? How did you fare the pandemic? Oh my gosh, Christy, it's so good to hear from you. Literally, this was at the beginning of December. Started talking to him. They actually bought a different forever home. They ended up selling this one. Funny enough, he said, Christy, I was actually thinking about you guys, and I have another property I want to sell. Literally, Noah and I today put a house under contract from him. He has a house, their first house they bought. It needs some work. It's worth about 170. We have it under contract for 112. Needs very minimal work. So we're debating whether we maybe want to flip it or we maybe want to keep it as another short-term rental. So again, you never know where these leads are going to come from, and follow-up is so key, all of this, but this is all very simple stuff, guys, right? Like, I'm not telling you, you've got to invest $20,000. You've got to invest all this time doing this. Look, one direct mail list brought me this neighborhood, this county, into now finding and farming, driving for dollars. All this stuff is really simple, and just opening my mouth. I'm already doing that anyway, right? Like I should be. Like, just get out and talk to people. So again, I just want to kind of recirculate back to phase 24/7. Consistency is the key, and results. If you aren't doing things to reach these goals, you're never going to get a deal. You have to keep marketing. You have to put yourself out there. A really good task, and I don't know if it's on this sheet, but I'll tell you something really good you could do. When we talk about leads and people, and I get this question a lot, and this is kind of off the cuff of, being good with your time and doing, but it's raising private money. I get this a lot because people say, I want to do deals, but where do I find the money? I'm like, guys, your phone. So I want you to think about this. Everybody that you have programmed in your phone, okay, and this could be also for leads, right? Leads, private money, sellers, buyers, whatever. Think about all the people you have programmed in your phone. Before social media, we had no way of reaching anyone, right? Like there literally was just your phone. So most of the people programmed in your phone that you've had in there since you got a cell phone, which is like the early 2000s, how many of those people would you guess that you actually talk to on a regular basis? I'd say very minimal. Some of them are family, right? Like some of them we don't even talk to, read text message. A lot of those people in your phone are probably on social media, right? And they're just commenting. But how many of you are really engaging and taking the time to interact with people that you know? Probably not that much. Make it a goal to go through your phone each week, even if it's just to call someone. Listen, I'm not telling you to call someone and say, hey, John, I haven't talked to you since 2007. Do you have a 401k I can use on a deal? You don't have to do that. But wouldn't it be cool? Like, I think it would if somebody called me and said, you know what, Christy, we used to have so much fun back in 2007 when we worked together, when we had a job in corporate America. How have you been? What's going on? Even a small connection. So your phone and contacts you have in there, that could be something you could add in your week. And that not only makes them feel good, it makes you feel good, but it could also spur something out. So just remember, there's so many easy ways to do this business. You just have to put yourself out there, but you have to be regimented. Another thing I would tell you on cutting time in your life and schedule, literally go through, I want you for an entire week, like don't even start next Monday, start tomorrow. Okay. Because I know we say, oh, we're going to start Monday. And then Monday's usually the most hectic day. Start tomorrow, write down and track everything you do every day. I'm talking about everything. When you get up, when you take a shower, when you eat a meal, what are you doing? I want you to write down every single thing you do and see how much time you're spending doing that. When you get on your phone, when you check social media, what are you actually doing? Is it beneficial? How much time are you wasting? What are you doing? Like, are you driving to the gym? Could you be working out at home and saving 20 minutes? Because a lot of this time that you are wasting, you think you're being productive, but you're not until you break it down. I think that really helps you kind of go in and then say, hey, Christy was right. You know what? I've got 15 extra minutes here. I think I could actually go in and implement, you know what, jumping on Facebook Marketplace for 20 minutes instead of just scrolling through my Facebook that's not doing anything productive at all. Maybe I could film a short video on social media, right? Just a quick, like, hey, here's what I'm doing, guys. Do you know anybody that wants to buy or sell? Noah did that last night. He literally said, look, I'm going downstairs into the studio. I'm going to film a quick commercial and I'm going to throw it up online. Great. So you just need to start slow and kind of start implementing, but you've got to do something. That's the big thing. So if you learned anything from this evening, it's literally do something and stick to it consistently. And it's okay to ask for referrals and help from people. Don't feel bad asking for business. Don't feel bad if you've got a friend that's a small entrepreneur doing something, sharing their business. If you're starting in this business and you have nothing, let's say, hey, I want to get on Instagram and I really want to post about something, but I literally am just starting and I know nothing. You know what? Find another local investor and check out their projects. Go look at them and say, hey, do you mind if I upload a couple quick photos of what you're doing on your project? Right? Something simple. I had an agent, fellow investor. I thought this was cool. I didn't know her at all. In the beginning, she was trying to get my attention. She started sharing every single house we flipped on my social media to her social media. It was like, we listed a house for sale. She shared it. We said this, she shared it. She did this. For a while, you're like, who is this person sharing all my stuff? This is crazy, right? But what was cool about it is we got to know her because we're like, she's amazing. She's sharing all of her stuff. She's really trying to make a connection. So it could be simple. You have a couple minutes during the day, get on your Facebook, connect and add yourself to other local investors and investor groups and share their stuff. So remember, it doesn't have to be this big full-blown thing. Deals, some of our best deals came from referring people we know. So again, download this worksheet, write down the website, start mapping out your calendar of everything you're doing, 2 to 3 items. If not each day, each week, right? Start small and just do something. That's my goal for this evening. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I'm actually going to pop out of this and see. Oh, we got Tangi there. Cool. Right on cue. I'm going to pop out of here and we probably got some Q&A. So, oh, I can't hear you, Tangi. Sorry.
We definitely have some Q&A. Awesome.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Do you have a slideshow that you want to leave it in on how people are going to get a hold of you, or?
I can definitely leave that up while I'm doing. Sorry. I was trying to.
No, that's okay. Actually, before you share that, stop for a second.
Yep.
I
Okay.
want to show them something, because a lot of people are going to ask my pricing and they already have.
Cool.
So let me just do that real quick. So here's what we're offering, Christy. Anybody that's on this webinar tonight that was recommended by you, obviously need to use your code, which is, you remember your code?
Yes.
Duckett 1000.
Mhm.
Yeah. So you use that code, you do get Christy's discount, which is on here. But for anybody on this webinar tonight, it's going to get a free county, okay, by Friday. So between now and actually, you know what, let's do this till Thursday, Friday morning, Friday by noon, because I'm actually leaving. I won't even be around. So today's what, Tuesday? Let's
Yes.
do it till Thursday. By the close of business day on Thursday, you get a free county for anybody who signs up now. No, and it's got to be on the 6 month or the year, because we want them to make longer commitments. You know, when you make a longer commitment, you tend to be in it to win it. You're more successful because it gives your list time to function and produce. When you make small commitments, you know, you don't want to be making a decision in 10 weeks or not, whether you want to renew your probates 10 weeks from now. And I say 10 weeks because we have to have the renewal a week in advance on a 12-week subscription. So basically, if you want 3 months of probates, it's $5.99. You're just going to pay for one county. It's usually $7.50. So this is Christy's discount. And it's half off for each additional county usually. But we're going to give you a free county on this discounted rate for anybody who signs up between now and Thursday. But they got to buy the 6 month, which is a 26 week, or the year, which is the 52 week. So for $999, you can get 6 months of probate or pre-probate or inheritance or code violation or eviction or divorce. This is for each service. So if you want probates for 6 months, $999, but free county. If you want probates for a year, $17.50, but you get a free county. Okay. That's how it works. If you want pre-probates for 6 months, it's another $999. So that price is for each list. And we're giving you a free county between now and Thursday night. You can also reach out to me on my cell phone down below. You can, if you're my client or referred by Christy, you can text me. You can email me. Emailing me is awesome because, you know, that'll have your contact information. You can also reach out to me on my office line extension 2. But these are the prices for anybody between now and Thursday. So guys, I'm going to go ahead and let Christy share her screen, because I want you guys to be able to see her contact information on how to get a hold of her. Like if you have any lingering questions that aren't going to get answered on here.
Yeah. And if you guys go to that ChristyDuckett.com, all my contact and stuff is on there. My social media handles, all of that on Instagram, Facebook. So it's really easy to kind of go through there. So ChristyDuckett.com. But if you want the worksheet, make sure you write that specific handle down.
So one of the first questions we have is this being recorded? Yes, you can go onto our YouTube tomorrow and the owner will post Christy's webinar right on our YouTube. You just have to subscribe to the YouTube channel Foreclosures Daily. So it will be previewed again tomorrow on YouTube, and it will stay there until Christy forces us to take it down. I'm just kidding. And then Randy has a question. It's Flipping Cowboy out of Las Vegas. And his question is how does he find out if his state is a homestead? And if so, do you sell pre-probate list? Well, first of all, of course we sell pre-probates. We're nationwide. So there's not an area that we can't get on the pre-probates. But do you know the answer to his question, Christy? He's in Las Vegas. Is how does he find out if his state is homestead state or not?
Hey, Randy. I'm not sure. I'm sure you can Google and find out. I know him, so actually I'll find out for you and let you know.
Okay. And then also Bruce Dinger wanted me to let you know that you rock and that you're awesome.
Hey, Bruce.
I hope he's still on here. And then question is, Sharon has a question. Probate list have lawyers. Is there a requirement to get current market price?
Oh, so this is an interesting question. So we have a local attorney that we work with, just outside of the list, right? She's on our connection base. She's actually a good friend. She was a judge. So what's interesting is when she has a property, which is a lot of what she does, she has a pool of about 15 to 20 investors that she goes to. So first, let me clear this. If the property is in very good, beautiful condition, she has a go-to agent. She says, go to this agent. Here's your option list, because she has a fiduciary responsibility to her client to get the most money. She does. So if it's a beat down property that looks really bad, she has a list of about 15 to 20 investors she calls. She has all of us come in, look at the property, and then make an offer. And if she agrees, she's kind of taking the rein on if it's a good price, she knows market value and all that, she'll say, okay, the seller can go with them directly.
Now, but at the end of the day, it's up to the personal representative who's handling the estate on what they sell the house for, right, Christy?
100%. And what happens with her a lot of times, because, and she is a very ethical, honest person. I'm not going to say all attorneys are, right? Just like all investors, we're not. But she kind of does a lot of the background research, has an agent to say, this is market value. Here's where you probably could sell, but realize the property is in this condition. So she kind of tries to help them and has people on her team as well. But you're right. They're ultimately their decision.
But depending on whether the judge has partial authority or full authority, I mean, they usually just want to know, hey, what's the house worth? Why are you selling it for only 80,000? Oh, it needs a new roof. Boom, signs right off.
Right. 100%. You're exactly right.
And this might even be the thing earlier, as Michael says that, but we have to compete with other realtors getting the list. But again, Christy went over this in the beginning, and I'm going to briefly go over it now. It doesn't really matter. There's enough to go around. And like she said, even when you're working on the MLS, you have to compete. No matter what list you get in the world, you're going to have competition. So if you're scared of competition, not that you are, but you're in the wrong game. But the benefit of using probate and pre-probate is the competition is so minimal. You would literally have some people in some counties and none in the others. I mean, you don't have to worry about competition with probate. It's not like foreclosures. People aren't toppling over. They're not getting hundreds of mailers a day. A lot of people are very ignorant to probate. It's not a bad thing. It just means they don't know, because they think, oh my God, you have to wait like a year to buy it because it takes a long time to go through probate. Well, it's a good thing you don't have to wait for it to finish.
They're afraid to reach out to them. Like, I don't want to reach out to a child and then them yell at me and everyone's going to be mean. And guys, I'm here to tell you that's not the case. In our experience, listen, have I been yelled at? Yes. Have I been yelled at for vacant properties and landlords? Yes. I mean, we've all pretty much been yelled at, guys. Get thick skin. Your parents probably yelled at you, right? I mean, it happens. But with them, what I found is it's more like when you're coming from a standpoint of, I can help you, I truly can. They're lost sometimes. They just need help and guidance. So really it's, all in the presentation.
And also too, a good response is, oh my goodness, I'm so glad you don't fit the situation that a lot of people do. I actually help people save their property because they lose their parents' biggest investment they gave them in their entire lives when they pass to foreclosure because they can't afford it. So they end up losing it in foreclosure. I'm so glad you don't fit that situation, Mrs. Jones. You have yourself a fine day. What are they going to say? You know what I mean? So, and just also you're being generic. You don't ever want to talk about their unfortunate situation. Just be real simple, basic, generic. I'm interested in purchasing some properties in a few select areas, and yours happens to be one of them. So, and I give you phone scripts. So when you buy the list, you don't have to reinvent this. It's right there for you, wrote out.
Which is beautiful.
Can you please tell us what lists you provide in California? Well, we do things like probate, pre-probate, inheritance, code violation, eviction, divorce. Those are just to name a few hot ones. What info on your list does not show on a search on Ramin of MLS? Well, first of all, on the MLS, a lot of people get access to things on the MLS like foreclosures and stuff, but not all of them are going to be on there. We get them when they're freshly first filed. So we're kind of beating everybody to the punch on that one. So there's a lot on our list that's not on the MLS at all. Are you a licensed realtor by any chance, Christy?
I am not, but my husband is, but we also work. So even though he is, we work with several different realtors because we believe in having a really solid, awesome team. I actually saw one of our amazing agents. We've wholesaled stuff too on the call here. So.
Yeah. Now, who do you mail for pre-probate? You mail the decedent's property. and not, and you'd basically just be like, to the Smith family and just be like, I'm interested in purchasing the property. I understand you may have a house for sale. And if you do, I'm interested in purchasing your property. Now I have a really good skip tracing service that gets you the most likely to be the next of kin, their name, phone number, and updated address. So when you buy the list, you get those bonuses. This is for Tangi and Christy. Is there a list you offer that identifies people that are having to move? And no, we do not. We don't have a list of people moving into assisted living facilities.
But listen, guys, make a connection, right? These are part of your team. Find somebody that works with the placement of people that are helping people, because we have someone that has referred properties to us, because usually they do need to sell immediately to go in.
Okay, so Gail says, if you're driving for dollars and the house looks vacant, why would you send mailers to a vacant home?
So this is good. So vacant home just means no one's there, but that doesn't mean that no one's picking up the mail, right? We don't know. And sometimes that vacant property, if you just go, like, especially if it's a vacant property and the grass is cut, it's like, why is the grass cut? Go talk to the neighbor. So that could be a great lead, because I promise you, if you've driven by the house 50 times, 50 other people haven't thought the same thing. Oh, no one's there. I'm not going to stop.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And talking to your neighbors is your great resource there. They'll seriously, I mean, they most of the time will have their phone numbers and contact information. I mean, I have all of my neighbors' numbers. So now, what is the icebreaker or into your cycle class? Do you get their contact or just make the initial contact?
What does that say? Say that again.
What is the icebreaker or intro to your cycle class?
Oh, my spin class. Oh yeah. So here's what's cool about it. So I only go to the spin class with the most energetic instructor. That's why I like going, right? Because she ramps me up and she's awesome. So she's like a type A, like talking to everyone. She kind of interacts everyone, which is cool, but I'm naturally an extrovert, if you hadn't noticed. So when I get there early, I feel awkward if I'm just sitting there like, okay, so I'll just start talking to people. And I'll typically ask what they do, because it's really not about me, it's about them. So what do you do? Like, how do you get to be here at 9 a.m.? Do you own your own business? Like, are you retired? And then when they start talking naturally, when you ask what they do, what are they going to say to you? What do you do? And it's so easy. So
yeah, good. Well, local interns, how do you pay them and where do you run ads?
good question. So this is kind of interesting. I've done it a couple different ways. For a long period of time, I'd see a lot of somebody asked to, I'll answer this, the Bandit signs. Those are the corrugated, like 18 or 16 by 24, 18 by 24 signs that say we buy houses or car for sale or what have you. Anyway, if I saw a wholesale property, somebody marketing one, I found out in our area, unfortunately, there were a lot of really bad wholesalers. And it was just because they were uneducated. So I'd actually contact them to say like, hey, are you having problems selling your property? How can I help you? And then what I would find is like, they were already doing a lot of stuff, but they were spinning a lot of wheels. So I would say, hey, I think we can work together. Like, let's make this a win-win. So I would take them and kind of convert them into doing a lot of my work for bartering education with them. So that's one way. Same real estate meetups. My husband and I actually host a local meetup group. We started one in our community just because we wanted to make more contacts. So we naturally had a lot of people coming to those. But we also use college students. We have the University of South Carolina. A lot of people that have a business degree have to intern and get credit hours. So we were able to pick up a couple there.
This guy, Michael says Bandit signs are illegal where he is.
So if you've called and you know they're illegal, like in Atlanta, they are truly illegal. Don't put them out. Now, sometimes I've heard people say also, I know they're illegal. I'm not going to do it. And the reality is sometimes I put them up in areas and the city has called me and said, hey, you have to remove them. Cool. Just make sure you're keeping track of where you put your signs and where they're at. If they truly are illegal, guess what? Get a mobile Bandit sign, meaning put a magnet on your car. We buy houses. You know, an Uber driver, ask them if they'll put a magnet on their car, pay them to do it, right? So if you have a rental property or property you own, put a sign in the yard because it's your property. You can do what you want, right? So that's a way to get around that.
How do you work with agents?
So big, because why does an agent want to work with me? What's in it for them, right? That's the big thing, because they're not getting paid unless they're selling a house or I'm bringing something to them. So one, I like to make it a win-win. So I have agents a few different agents working in different territories, like different zip codes, because I don't want everybody backtracking on each other because I don't think that's really fair. So really for them, bring me a house and I'll buy it. Here's my criteria. Here's how I work the deal. Here's what I'm looking for. Find me that. If you know another agent that has an off-market lead, bring that to me. And then I will also in turn refer them out to other people. So if I know somebody that needs to sell a home, I'll say, hey, listen, I have this wonderful agent, you know, you should list your home through them. So they're getting something. So even if every deal for me isn't, you know, you got to make it a win-win for them because they do work on commission. And if they do bring me a deal, I let them list it on the back end and profit off of that too.
Who do you use or what do you use for skip tracing?
So I've used whitepages.com for one. That's one I've used. truepeoplesearch.com is another. You can use some of the free ones. I think they work. Sometimes you're going to get dead numbers. It's the truth. I mean, you will out there, but there's a lot of different companies. I think they're all good. Start with the free, inexpensive ones and then move on to others.
And when you buy our list, we give you access to a discounted skip tracing company that'll skip trace your list for great. We tried to fix and flip, invested over $50,000 and lost money on every deal. Home values are up 25% from 2020 in this part of Florida. Margins are slow, low, and there's no profit in flips right now. Yeah, there is. You just have to.
There is. I disagree with that. I think it's just either it's the wrong deals, bad contractors not negotiating low enough. So I think it's just finding the right resource. And if you're struggling with that, seriously, find a good mentor to help you. Find someone local, you know, like learn to run your numbers because I'm guessing it's somewhere in there. I hate that for you.
And
or maybe you look.
Lists.
Yes, right. Get lists, try to get something different. And also maybe become an agent, list your own property because then you're getting a piece of the profit on that end too. I don't know if you're already doing that, but that's another way to gain more profit. Or wholesale. Forget the flips. If you're not good at it, wholesale.
Okay, well, we have 8 minutes to answer 16 questions. So we got 2 minutes per question. Now, we already answered who do you use for skip tracing? We had 3 of those questions. Do you use texting or a virtual assistant to do cold calls?
So currently I am not. There's a lot of companies out there and I'm probably the worst person to ask, meaning I don't do a lot of that, honestly. So I would tell you to look at some of the people. You probably, Tangi, you might have somebody that has been on here before that's recommended a company or resource probably. I don't know if you've got.
I do have, you mean to do your calling or skip tracing?
Right. Mm-hmm.
When you buy the leads for Foreclosure Daily, we give you all of our people that we offer recommendations for. Now, what exactly should our probate letter say? I cold call, but never sent any letters. I know exactly who this person is, Beth. I give you in your bonuses, we give you exactly what the probate letters say. I understand there may be a property for sale. If you do have a property for sale, I would like to, I'd like to help you sell your property or if you're a realtor, but I would like to buy your property if you're an investor. Don't clean, don't pick up, don't rehab, just basically it's in your bonuses, Beth. If you need to, you can reach out to me and I'm more than happy to resend those to you. But Christy, do you have any recommendations on what should go in a letter?
For me, I like to keep it simple, like who we are, what we do. Again, you want to speak to them and not having to worry, especially with probate. Like, we'll take care of this. We'll close quick, cash. But I like, again, to keep it broad. I know some people mail and it's okay. It works, right? I'm sorry you lost a relative here. That's just not me. So I like to come from the standpoint of we're looking to buy one property in your neighborhood in the next month. Type simple, keep it simple, right? Urgency. And in the next 30 days, please contact me if you're interested in selling. We close quick, we buy cash, all those keywords, I would keep it simple.
Diane, what is the difference between probate and inheritance? Is inheritance someone? No, okay. No, our list, there's differences. Like a probate is basically 1 week after they file, we verify there's real estate attached and we give the lead to you 1 week later. A pre-probate is 1 week after they die. We verify there's real estate attached and we give the lead to you 1 week later. So a probate is 1 week after they file. A pre-probate is 1 week after they die. And Dwayne, I am not going to ask that question. I don't care if it's a joke or not. I'm not doing it. Okay. Now
I saw that.
I'm not doing it. Anyway, an inherited is for a person who inherits property via a trust, but you'll get those on your pre-probate, right? So what's the difference between our pre-probate and inherited? Well, not only is it going to be for people who inherit the property via a trust, but there'll be a lot of family deed transfers on an inherited list. A property that was transferred from one family member to another in the amount of $0. So there is differences between all three lists, and I highly recommend that you do use all three lists. So I hope that answers your question, Dwayne. If you need me to repeat that, you can text me, email me, and I'll be more than happy to spell that out for you. Christy, what are your profit goals for 1, an average flip, and 2, wholesale?
So I saw that. I think that depends on your area. So for my market, because we're not like a California, like I've coached students right now that are making 150 to 200 grand on a property. That's not my market. Minimum on a rehab, I like to net after everything's paid out 25 to 30 grand, right? And I'm talking, that's a quick turnaround when I don't have to do a lot of work too. If I'm putting a lot more work into it, it's taking longer. I'm going to want more profit. On a wholesale, listen, if I can turn something and make 5 grand in a week, I'll make 5 grand. If I can make 15 grand, I'll make that too. So I think it just varies on your market and what you're doing.
Do you offer one-on-one coaching?
I do. Yep, I do. If you go to ChristyDuckett.com, I do on there.
Okay. And William says mail to the mailing address. No, William, because you don't want to mail people in nursing homes. You want to mail to the property address or the PR's address. I mean, Christy, do you roughly know how many postcards you would need to send to get a deal?
So this is interesting. I've kind of tested and measured a lot and a little. And I don't know. It seems like if after 3, I'm not getting something, I'm usually not getting something. However, I met a local investor that says he mails 9 times and gets some after the 8th and 9th. I've mailed 3 and gotten a call 8 months later and they've sold me a property. So I just don't know. I like to do probably minimum 4. I like to alternate between postcards and letters because it's a different mail piece, a different touch.
Okay. What do you use to track your deals, schedules, follow-ups, and so on and so forth?
So I use a CRM management system. There's a lot out there of different sorts, but I would tell you, like, if you're starting out and you don't have a ton of leads coming in, you can use an Excel spreadsheet, create something simple to do with a follow-up system on that, a Google Doc. But there's a lot of CRMs. I won't just preach one because I think there's several that are good and people will say something different for a different reason. But you can go from there.
What do you think about Podio? I've always heard it was great.
I've never used Podio and I've heard very good things about it. I have an investor I work with out of Savannah and that's what he uses and loves it. You know what I think it is? Every tool's great if you're using it. What I find is people complain about something not working because guess what? They're not following through. It's like, oh, well, I use this one aspect of it. And I'm like, well, you can't say you fully don't like something if you didn't do it. It's like direct mail didn't work for me. Did you mail the list? Well, no. Okay. Well, that's why it didn't work.
I like it when they say, oh, this isn't working for me. I've mailed for 2 times and nothing happened. Not to the same people, 2 weeks. Well,
right.
Well, right. It's only been like 15 days or 14 days.
Or you think every single person's going to call you and that doesn't happen. And with probate, it's interesting because right now they're going through a lot of emotions. They might not call you for 2 months because they're sorting through stuff in the house. They're overwhelmed. That's something else you can put in the letter. I didn't think about that. And another connection you can make. This is why I like the probate. Estate sale companies are really great. We have a lady that will liquidate everything out of a house. And her name is Carolyn. We've used her on houses we bought that were just off the MLS with a bunch of stuff. We let her come in and sell everything. But we like to put that in the letter, something that says, hey guys, you can leave the property with everything in it, right? Like, because even if it's a vacant property, a tired landlord, when there's junk left behind, that's such an overwhelming feeling.
Do you remember my letter? Don't clean, don't pick up, don't rehab, don't repair. You want to think of positive things. 2 minutes. How much is your one-on-one coaching? And 2 people asked.
So go to my website and we can talk. I have different levels.
Okay, so she has different levels on her website, and her website is ChristyDuckett.com. What is it? www.ChristyDuckett.com/calendar, or no, that's the calendar.
Yeah, .com. That's the calendar. Just .com will take you there. And you can inbox me there, guys, and we can talk offline and kind of go through your goals because it's really, for me, not a la carte. I'd like to see where everyone, if you are interested in coaching, where are you at? Are you just starting? Have you been doing it? What are your hurdles? Because everyone's different. It really is the truth.
How can I get POF when I submit offers through agents?
So proof of funds, that's hard. So here's the deal. You can Google proof of funds and put it in. Here's the problem with proof of funds. If you don't really have that money and you can't get it, don't submit the offer because you're just going to make an agent mad and it's a pain. I would almost recommend go backwards, start building private money lenders and have them write a proof of funds you can submit.
Well, we are out of time. Christy, we thank you so much for being on our webinar tonight, and we look forward to having you on again next year. And maybe we can have you and Noah both on. And the nuggets you gave out tonight is amazing. You got to go to her calendar if they wanted to do the, what are you offering right now? One more time. What are you offering?
Yep. So this is your consistent marketing calendar, weekly marketing calendar. Please go copy this and do 2 to 3 items per day or 2 to 3 items per week. Just do something.
Perfect. And then we here at Foreclosures Daily are offering a free county for anybody who purchases between now and the close of business day on Thursday. And you do have to purchase 6 months or a year in order to get that free county. Christy, we thank you so much for your time. It's been amazing as always. We love having you on our webinars. And I look forward to talking to you real soon.
All right, Tangi, have a great cruise. Talk to you soon.
Have a great evening. Bye.
Bye-bye.